Good afternoon. I am Grace DeBella, and the title of my talk today is With God, All Things Are Possible. I want to begin by sharing a little story that I heard from a minister who was trying to teach a group of 9 and 10-year-olds the true story of Easter, the story of the resurrection. So her main point was she wanted the children to understand that life does not end at death, that death is eternal. So she decided to use something she thought the children could understand, and that was a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. So she told the children, okay, when you see an empty cocoon broken up on the ground, please don't cry because you think that the caterpillar experienced death. What I want you to think about is what the caterpillar became. The caterpillar became a beautiful butterfly, a different form of life, but still a form of life. Jesus' resurrection is similar to that, she explained to the children. So while she was taking a few moments to let the children ponder that story, a little boy put his hand up and she said, "Yes, you have a question?" And the little boy said, "Oh yes, I have a question. I want to know, what were Jesus' first words when he woke up from the dead in the tomb?" Well, the minister was not ready for that question. She was expecting a question on the butterfly cocoon and caterpillar story. So she paused for a moment thinking, well, I'm just going to be honest, which is the best thing to be with children. She said, well, that's not in the Bible anywhere that I know of. And since there was no one else in the tomb with Jesus, we really don't know what Jesus' first words were. No sooner had she stopped giving her answer to the little boy than she noticed out of the corner of her eye a little girl in the back row frantically waving her hand saying, I know the answer to that question. So she called upon the little girl, and the little girl stood very proudly, smiling from ear to ear, saying, I know the answer. I know what Jesus said. Jesus said, ta-da! Out of the mouths of babes, right? Think about it for a moment. Perhaps this little girl intuitively understood the resurrection more than many adults do. I wanted to share this story with you and about the little girl and her joyous ta-da because it evoked a very touching, emotional awakening within myself during Holy Week. Like all of you, I'm very involved with my church. And on top of that, like all of you, I am trying desperately to finish the daunting task of this last week of classes. And if that wasn't enough baggage to clog up my mind, I'm the only caregiver of my 88-year-old mother. And during Holy Week, my husband announced that he had retired from working, and I took that on. So it was my job to make him happy. So no surprise that I experienced an emotional and spiritual low during last week. All I could see was lack. Financial challenges, lack of physical energy, not enough hours in the day to complete everything that I needed to do. And there were days that I simply sat down and cried because I thought I didn't know what else to do. I temporarily forgot that all things are possible with God. I also forgot that this journey we are on is a journey of joy. I found no joy in anything last week. And that's because I was not open to turning within to my one true source of everything, God the good. So today, I'm reclaiming my joy and my knowing that all things are possible through God. So what are our ta-da moments in life? How can we experience those ta-da moments, our resurrections? I ask you to think about your attitude today. Do you express joy? Do you allow your divinity, your inner Christ, to penetrate your thoughts and your actions on a day-to-day basis? Or are you holding on to self-imposed limitations? What are you clinging to? A bad relationship? Financial or health challenges? unforgiveness of someone or unforgiveness of yourself? You have a choice. Release false appearances. Let go of relationships that no longer serve you. And know that all things are possible with God. When we choose to let go and let God, we choose to live from the joy of our inner Christ. We choose to live from our divinity. We choose resurrection. Resurrection is not a one-time life event that happens only when our physical body dies. Resurrection occurs over and over again when we release error thoughts and choose love over hate, choose trust over fear, abundance over limitation, and release outcomes to the one true source in our life, God. The disciple Thomas was the only disciple not present the first time Jesus appeared to the disciples. Now, Thomas represents the faculty of understanding, but in this case, when Jesus appeared and he was there, he represents sensual understanding, which relies on factual seeing. So I'm going to only read one verse from my scripture today, and that is from the Gospel of John, chapter 20, verse 29, and it's the New International Version. Then Jesus said, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." Are you like Thomas? Do you need to touch the wounds in Jesus' hands? Or do you respond with faith and spiritual understanding to all life situations? For me, it all goes back to the little girl's response that Jesus said, "Ta-da!" I can choose to remain stuck on the physical, earthly senses, or I can choose the ta-da of resurrection by turning within for the spiritual truth of my life. Today, I choose faith, knowing all things are possible with God, and I can live from the ta-da attitude of resurrection over and over again every time I choose to turn inward. The ta-da living is knowing God is everything, and there is nothing greater than God. Like Jesus, I choose to roll away that stone of self and shout ta-da, because the Christ lives within me. I am divine. And ta-da, I hope you say, because you too are divine and a beloved child of God. And remember, nothing, despite any outer appearances, there is nothing that is impossible with God. Namaste and bless you.